Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here today talking about movement, which is really an important topic when you're talking about divorce or any life transitions, with one of our Fresh Starts experts, Rebecca Stewart. Rebecca, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Hi. First of all, thank you for having me on because I think this is such an important topic. But yes, my name is Rebecca Stewart. I am a certified personal trainer and movement coach. I really focus on helping people get out of pain, gain more confidence through exercise, and just feeling stronger and more empowered in their everyday life in whatever way they need that.
Well, I think we could probably talk to you for hours because I have so many questions for you, but let's start simple. The fact that divorce is really traumatizing to every part of your life, right? And a lot of people, myself included, tend to fall into a depression, or you just kind of like get into a slump. What is something we can do that's so gentle and lovely for our body to get it moving again?
Yeah. One of my big things with movement is that it doesn't have to be anything major. It doesn't have to be anything massive. And even like 1 to 5 minutes of movement can make a huge difference. And especially if you are falling into some sort of depression, you can do that in your bed, honestly. It doesn't have to be getting up, going to the gym, all that kind of stuff. I'm really about meeting you and your body where you're at with fitness, and just a tiny bit of movement. And if you're laying in your bed or on your couch, sometimes that can just be doing a couple arm circles or, moving your head around a little bit, just something to get some sort of movement in your body. And you can do that kind of intuitively too. Sometimes it can just be like wiggling your body out a little bit, and that can make a huge difference. But yeah, just those little bits of something can.
I'm all for working out in bed. I mean, I refuse to put a bra on anymore, just ever. And so anytime I can work out without a bra, then that is all great. So tell us why movement is so important during life transitions, especially something like divorce, or I would say even a job loss or a grief, whatever. Why do we really need to focus on movement then?
Yeah. Talking specifically about divorce here, but especially any sort of life transition, right? Divorce is in the top 5 of most stressful life.
It's the second.
Yes. Yeah. I think divorce is number 2, and then marital separation is number 3. So
number 1
right
is death
there.
of a spouse. So
yes,
right after that, yeah, and we don't, and that's why I always laugh, because we don't give it any credit for upheaving people's lives.
It's a huge major change. And I know moving is right up in there in the top 5 too. And that's usually something that happens
a job
in
change.
divorce.
Yes.
Yep. So if you're thinking about stress, right? Hugely stressful time for people. And our bodies, if you think back to when we were like cave people, right? Our bodies adapted to this stress cycle for things like running away from a lion to save our lives, or like moving away from a falling boulder or something like that, right? That stress response we have for most people is to run away from something, or either that, or it might be to freeze, to hide from whatever that stressful thing is that is literally a detriment to our life, right?
Yeah,
Potential life threat. And our bodies haven't changed that much in how we process stress. And yet our lives have shifted so much since then. And so we oftentimes don't fully complete that stress cycle until we do something like movement. because that's what we were meant to do. We were meant to run away from the lion that was chasing us. So it doesn't have to be, again, anything major, but exercise is one of the best ways that we can complete that stress cycle. And sometimes it can just be like going for a 5-minute walk or, putting on your favorite song and dancing
I was going to
around
say
in the kitchen
dancing's
for
a great
3
one.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because
But
our
something like that.
bodies, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca, you know more than me, but our bodies don't recognize the difference between our
No,
ex-husband yelling at us and a lion coming at us, right?
no.
It
Yep.
goes into the
Same stress response.
same stress response. Yeah.
Yep. And two, you might have seen videos of like animals shaking after they've
Mm-hmm.
been chased. And our body, that's a way to work through that trauma too. I know that it's happened to me once before. After a major trauma, my body did just all involuntary start to shake.
Yeah.
And that might still happen to some people,
Yeah.
but we can do that voluntarily too. It can be just shaking your body out, or
Yep.
like the dancing in the kitchen is a great way to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that also helps us complete that stress cycle. But you're completely right. Our body does not know the difference between, somebody yelling at you or, having to pick up and move in the middle of the
Right, or
night
waiting for
because
your
you're
lawyer to call
sleeping.
or going to court. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of people have
Yeah.
to go into courtroom, for the first time ever to get custody or to do it. That's so scary, right?
Defend everything that you love.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so people don't know, like, what is a stress cycle? Like, why do we have to complete that? What happens if we don't?
Mhm.
And you're just like, oh, I'm just going to live like this.
Yeah, great question. That's how we get into the spot that a lot of us are in this day and age. If we don't complete that stress cycle, our body just holds on to that stress and it um, manifests in a lot of different ways, right? Sometimes that can be eventually different chronic illnesses if we never fully go through that cycle. Sometimes that can just be aches and pains in the body, right? Our body will find some way to start to scream at us that, like, you
Mm,
need to do something here. I'm not okay.
yeah.
Until we start to work through that stuff because it just lives in our body otherwise.
So for a lot of people, a lot of the statistics say a lot of women contemplate divorce for about 2 years before they even make a move, which means that for a lot of people in marriages, they maybe are not like having sex or having relations anyway with their partner, or they're not, if they are, maybe they're not like fully embracing their body when they're doing that. How can starting a new movement like ritual or, just a movement that you're showing up for yourself help us kind of ground ourselves back into who we are? So eventually, if we do want to go have sex again or be, close to somebody again, we won't feel so triggered almost by that.
Yeah, that's a great question because what you said there made me think about, especially if you are still having sex but kind of detaching from that process, right? Just because maybe your spouse is forcing it upon you, or you feel like you have to because
Or you're
XYZ.
emotionally just done, right? Like a lot of women, I think,
Yeah.
women and men are emotionally done, and they're like,
Yep.
"I'll show up, but I'm not in it."
Yes, exactly. And so you're truly detaching from your body in that sense. So one of the beautiful things exercise does is it can, over time, it's not going to happen overnight, right? But over time, it'll help you to get more in tune with your body and just, like you said, be more grounded in it. Eventually, over time, too, it's going to help you build more confidence because, whether you're going for longer walks or going for runs in a shorter period of time, or starting to, you started with a 5-pound weight and now
Mhm.
you're lifting a 15-pound weight and then you're lifting a 45-pound weight, right? That confidence changes the way you show up in the world, and it changes the way you feel about your body. It
Yeah.
helps you feel more capable. And, the more you just start to take care of yourself in an intentional way, the more you start to come back into your body if you've spent so long detaching from
Mm.
yourself and your needs. Especially if you have kids, right? I think a lot of parents start to detach from their own needs,
Mhm.
especially if they're going through something like divorce, because
Mhm.
they might be trying to focus on just taking care of the kids and what their needs
Yeah.
are. And
Yeah.
it's so easy to abandon yourself in that process. So
Yeah.
exercise can absolutely help you build more confidence and just get more attuned with your body so that when you are ready to have sex in a more grounded way again, it's just going to feel that much better, right? You're going to be that much more in
Yeah.
tune
I
and,
love
and
that.
it's going to be more enjoyable.
I love that. And for anybody listening, she said 45-pound weight, but I would just like people to know I went from a 2-pound weight to a 5-pound weight And that is enough for me for right now.
It
So
is. That's
if you
huge. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like 45 people live 45-pound ways. I know people
Absolutely.
do, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but even those little, I mean, like personally for me, and it's taken me a long time to find a workout routine that worked for me. I have a step that I keep in my room and I step while watching TV, and I have my
Love
weights
that.
and I will literally do it in my pajamas because I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to deal. And I have a weighted vest, which I love, which everybody seems to have right now. So, find what works for you. Maybe it is swimming, maybe it is biking, maybe it is playing outside with your kids, right? Whatever it is, but move your body because you can't, like, the emotions are going to go nowhere if we
Yes.
don't move. So, what do you what do you do, Rebecca? How can people work with you? What do you have to offer people if they are like, I really need to move, but I don't know how to get started?
Yeah. So a couple different options. I am located in the Twin Cities area in Minnesota. So if people are interested in in-person training, that is an option. I also do custom programming for people. So if they're elsewhere and they just, might have some sense of what they can do, but want to plan to just be able to follow because life is a lot when
Mm-hmm.
you're going through this kind of transition. I do offer that as well. And then I also have a mobility course. So they're less than 10 minutes for a month, 3 days a week, very manageable. So you can just start to feel better in your body a little bit each and every day. And, kind of like we're talking about rebuilding that confidence, helps you get out of pain. And again, stop holding on to all that stress that you're holding on
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. I'm very
Yeah.
excited for the course because that is exactly what I can do is 10 minutes a day. And while I watch Rachel Ray cook on TV, all of that info will be in the show notes. You can reach out to Rebecca and you can see her at Fresh Starts. You can see her on her website. And she knows her stuff. So if you need a routine that works for your life, set up a call with her because she will help you out. And I can't emphasize enough. Like, I know it's so easy to slip into like old patterns or to be like, I'm too tired. But like, there is always a way to move your body. And it's not to lose weight. It's to just get these emotions out of your system so that you can start to heal. It's really, I think that shift of perspective is helpful for people.
Yeah, I think when we're talking about divorce, most of the times when you think about exercise, people are thinking about getting their revenge body.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you hear a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the
Mm-hmm.
time. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, forget about the revenge body. Just
Yeah.
worry about taking care of yourself and, reducing your stress or finding some way to channel, whether it's anger, divorce can be really
Yeah.
anger inducing.
Yeah.
Or whatever emotions are happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exercise will help you process through all of that.
I love that. So if somebody's listening to this and they're going through a divorce, what would be some words of encouragement you could leave them with?
I think just start small, right? Especially with divorce or any sort of life transition.
Yeah.
It's sometimes just one day to the next or 1 hour to the next.
Mm-hmm.
So start small. Find the one manageable thing that you can do and know that the more you do those things, it's
Yeah.
just going to keep getting better every day.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rebecca. This was such awesome info. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Rebecca. Thank you. Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.